Casserole here, Thrifting 101. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. Glad you're stopping in. Did a little thrifting this week, found some really interesting stuff, and some of the pieces that you'll see in this thrift haul are my own pieces or milk glass. I'm kind of wearing or paring down, that's the right word, my collection, so I hope you enjoy. Run right back to that charitable church thrift store to try and find the ruby birds glasses, and they were gone, and I wasn't surprised. I did not take my own advice, buy it when you see them. Anyway, I still have 6. They had nothing else there, but I was out far enough that I went and hit a few other stores that I'd like to go to but don't always go to, and I did pretty well. So I'm going to start right here with this cake plate or platter. I picked this up at the Positive Thrift store. Everything kitchenware was half price, and I think I've told you once before, they also go half price by date. You get the half price, first of all, if you have the key chain on whatever is that week. But if it's past a certain date, it's automatically 50% off. And this plate, for some reason, goes way back to June. It's just sitting there all by its lonely self, so I picked it up. It's beautiful. Picked it up for 50 cents. And I'm going to show you right here. It simply says made in Germany. It's 11.5-inch ceramic plate. This back stamp right here, I think dates it probably to the early to maybe the 1930s or maybe the early 1940s in Germany. I just think the color is beautiful. It's in really nice shape. And I think it would look really pretty, maybe just in the middle of a table with your salt and pepper or a sugar bowl or whatnot on there. I paid 50 cents for it. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to ask for it. Probably about $10, not a whole lot. I'm thinking that that back stamp dates to where I just told you it does, because back in 1887, England passed a law that all German potteries had to say made in Germany on it. So I'm assuming that probably falls somewhere after there and before the Second World War. So that's what I'm basing it on. Really, really great color. Show it to you again. Probably about $10. Picked up the Spice of Life 1-quart casserole at the Positive Thrift store, which is a Humane Society store. You can see here it's marked $6. The lid's in great shape. The $6 was for the whole thing, but like I said, it was 50% off kitchenwares. So I got the Spice of Life 1-quart casserole in perfect condition for $3. Probably ask about $15 for it. Corning made the Spice of Life pattern between 1972 and 1987, and it was the second most produced pattern right after the blue cornflower. And a funny thing out there, and if you belong to any Pyrex or Corning groups or anything, you'll see all over the place somebody on eBay is trying to sell the Spice of Life patterns for thousands and thousands of dollars. And I've even seen little blogs pop up on my phone about how this probably isn't true, which I'm sure it's not. But just for fun, go out and check the prices on eBay on Corning Wear Spice of Life and get a good laugh. I'm not going to be pricing this for $5,000, but like I said, more like 10 to 15. Picked this up at the Positive Thrift store. I paid $5 for it. I just thought it was a really cool item. It's called an egg beater drill, and it works. It doesn't have any drill bits, but you can see right there, or maybe you can't, but it does open and close. And it was made in the United States. It says right here, USA, nylon gears. I did a lot of research on it. You can find these out there, but I couldn't find a lot of information out there. I probably would have done better had I been able to read this. All I can see is it says trademark. I don't know the name of the company, but many companies made these. I thought the company was Nylon Gears, but I guess it isn't. I'm going to ask about $20 for it. It's a pretty cool piece. Picked this up at the Positive Thrift store. I picked up a lot of things that day at the Positive Thrift store. I did pay $5 for it. It was just too cute to pass up. It's hard to see here, but this foil label says Richard, and it took me a lot of magnifying to figure out that it did say Japan on there. So this probably dates to the late 60s, 70s. I couldn't find much information on Richards. I'm sure it's just a Japanese import company, but she's adorable. I love the spaghetti string trim. All the flowers are in really good shape. And I would imagine that you could call it a trinket box, but I kind of see it as holding a baby's first tooth or something. So I'm going to either keep it and give it to my daughter for when Nora loses her first tooth, or probably ask $15 or so if I do decide to sell it. There's a store not far from here. It's called Thrifty to You, and it's a Christian-based charitable store. I go in there to look around every now and then. They have beautiful furniture, and they have tons of kitchenware and houseware, but it's a really expensive store. Usually I go to look. Every now and then I'll find something. I did find this. I paid $5 for it. Maybe a little too much for it, but it's in beautiful condition. You can see right here it has the G, excuse me, for Gemco. And this W right here is for Westinghouse. And it's called a sugar pour. And you might have thought that most Gemco was made for Corningware. Corningware did buy a lot of Gemco products. Gemco made a lot for Corningware, but also Westinghouse did. I'm going to turn it on. See, I put it on my little plate here to show you how pretty that would look. It's in great condition. It looks a lot like Pyrex's cornflower blue. This is actually referred to as Delft flower. They made a lot of the Westinghouse Gemco is made to resemble Pyrex patterns. I paid $5 for this sugar pour. That's what it's called. And I'm going to ask, I think, 15. I can show you the inside. I forgot about that. It is signed, or not signed, but trademarked. See if we can get that in there. So you can see it's in really good condition. I thought this was a great find. I picked it up at the Positive Thrift Store, kitchenware, half price. This whole set was listed for $10. There's 7 pieces right here. There are 6 little bowls here. These are called sauce dishes. I actually thought they were berry bowls, but they're 5 1/4, and that makes them sauce bowls. And I have a 9 1/2-inch salad bowl. Get all these out and show to you. The pattern right here, every one of them is beautiful. You might be familiar with this pattern. It's Jeanette, Iris, and Herringbone, but its official name is actually just Iris Clear. It was produced between 1928 and 1932, making it depression glass. In the 1950s, you might see a lot of this in like a really pretty marigold iridescent. They started producing those in the 1950s. There have been repros in the Iris and Herringbone pattern in the clear, but the repro pieces include footed cocktail glasses, iced tea glasses, dinner plates, flat tumblers, and coasters. And these were not reproduced, so I'm pretty confident that these are depression wear. If you do see some pieces, the iced tea, the glasses or whatever, all the original ones have this Hobstar on the bottom, this ray here. The reproductions do not, they're just clear. So that will be a good indicator for you on some other pieces of the Iris Clear. I'm gonna ask $25 for the 7-piece set. I was doing my Monday morning Salvation Army run, and I said to myself, wouldn't it be nice to find some uranium glass? I never find it at the Salvation Army, and I walked in, and there was this little pitcher. It does have it's a little mini creamer actually. It's have a little chip right there. It was marked $3.99, and kitchenware glass was half price, so I only paid half of that. I'm not going to sell it, so I don't mind the chip. I knew right away it was uranium. Some pieces you can just tell. I did go home and immediately run it under the light to verify it, and of course it is. I have not been able to identify this pattern. I've seen a lot of people selling this this same one with the matching little sugar bowl, and nobody seems to have a pattern name. My best guess would be US glass, but there's just some pieces that even on replacements.com are just under a category of unknown makers. So I'm not really sure. I did see that a couple of people were selling the 2 pieces in a beautiful little caddy with a little handle that was also uranium. So I will be on the lookout for that. I don't know how much these sell for, maybe $10 to $15 if they didn't have a chip in them, maybe even a little less, but I'm keeping them. 1930s Depression wear. Picked up this Mary Ankle Bright mug at the Salvation. Nope, I picked it up at the Goodwill for 99 cents. I always pick up Mary Ankle Bright whenever I see anything in really good shape because always sells, a lot of collectors out there. I'm going to ask, I think, $8 for this mug. It's a really cute mug. This woman deserves a party. Kind of cute. You can see that side's in really good condition. And you can see this side is in really good condition. So I don't think I'll have trouble getting about $8 for this mug. I found this at the Goodwill, paid 99 cents for it, and it's really hard to see, but etched right on the top of this votive cup says Ferroy, Ferroy USA. That's a company, Ferroy USA. It also says patented and has I might have a patent number on there. I'm not quite sure at the moment. I can't see it. It's in really pretty condition. It's a beautiful green. As I said, it was made by Ferroy Incorporated out of Houston, Texas. The company dates back to 1950 when Addison McElroy and Preston Frazier founded the company, a combination of both their names, Ferroy. And they made and shipped luxury candles and other items. I don't believe they made their own glass. I'm not quite sure who produced glassware for them. But I know they did open a couple of stores in the Houston area in the 1960s and 70s, which was kind of a segue from what I was talking about. This piece, which is a frosted piece, and I believe they got the frosted look by giving it an acid bath. I think it dates to the 60s, 70s. It's a really pretty pattern. I don't see too many Ferroys in this pattern out there. I'm going to ask about $10 for it. Whew. These are part of my collection, and I love these bowls, but they've just kind of been sitting up on top of my cabinets forever. And I thought maybe it was time to pass them on to somebody else. You can see right here, I still have the tag. Paid $1.50 for this one. I don't even remember what I paid for this one. They both have different back stamps, so they're the same set. They're Anchor Hocking Fire King in the Anchor White Colonial pattern line. And the smaller one right here, the back stamp dates it between the late 50s to the late 60s. The larger bowl here has a different back stamp, dates it from the 60s to the mid 70s, so they must have had a crossover with their logos at some point. I think I'm going to ask $20 for the two bowls. They're in really nice shape. And as you probably know, Anchor Hocking introduced Fire King way back in 1942. Forgot to mention, the smaller bowl here is a 7-inch bowl, and the larger bowl is an 8 3/4. I picked all of this up at the Goodwill on Senior Citizen Day, so everything actually was marked $2.99. 3 bread and butter plates and this creamer, which came with a saucer, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cup and saucer plates. They were all marked $2.99, and then I got my discount off of them. I knew right away they were Blue Ridge Southern Pottery. A couple years back, I found my first piece, absolutely fell in love with it. None of it's marked. You can see right here, none of it's marked. The bigger plates were marked. Anyway, this pattern is called Cherry Cobbler. They also made a cherry bounce pattern. With a lot of people confuse them. They coordinate well, but this is definitely the Cherry Cobbler. The Cherry Cobbler has 4 cherries here, and the cherry bounce, I believe, has only 3. It's kind of a little bit different. All of the Blue Ridge Southern Pottery is all hand painted under the glaze. No two pieces are exactly alike. The shape is called the colonial shape. They date between 1930 and 1957. That's when the company was in production back in or out of Irwin, Tennessee. I'm going to ask about $8 a set, assuming that there's no chips on or cracks or anything. I don't think there are, but I'm going to go through them a little better. I have 3 bread and butter plates. I never get that out well. I'm going to ask $8 for. And the creamer has a couple of minor little chips here. So I'm not going to ask a whole lot for that, maybe $6, and I'm going to just throw that saucer in with it because it looks really cool. They did make a bunch of different shapes. The Blue Ridge Pottery Company did, Southern Pottery. They made this one, as I said, was a colonial. They made a candlewick, a skyline, a pie crust shape, a wood crest, a clinchfeld, and an aster shape. So they did make a lot of different shapes and a lot of different wonderful, wonderful patterns. As I said, all were handmade. They sold a lot of the Blue Ridge Southern Pottery through Sears and Montgomery Ward, other retail stores, and some retail stores actually offered them up as premiums. $8 a set, I think that's what I said. I picked up this gorgeous bowl at the Salvation Army. I was kind of shocked to see it there. It's really heavy. I did pay up for it. I paid, you can see right there, that's what I paid for it, $7.99. But I don't see them out there very often. It's an L.E. Smith. It's called Aztec White. It's a white carnival glass by Smith Glass. Probably dates to the 80s or even 90s. It's not a really old carnival piece. And the funny thing about this piece, I'll get back to the pattern in a minute, is that this piece here, this is my Smith Quintet piece, this carnival piece, kind of got into one of the videos. I have it on my table, but it got called into the video a few back and people were interested in buying it. So when I saw this, I figured I had to pick it up and put it up for sale. You can see the pattern here is gorgeous, and I don't know if the light's picking up the colors, but they're stunning. And this bowl here is called Aztec White, as I said. But if you take a good look at it, because I want you to see the pattern there, they also made this pattern not in this white, carnival white that I could find, but it is known as Comet in the Stars, which I think is a really cool name. Some people mix them both up, but to the best of my knowledge, Comet in the Stars did not come in the white carnival, came in clear, and a few other carnival colors, just not the white. The original pattern came from McKee back in, oh my goodness, I think the late 1800s, 1894 to be exact, was when this mold was first produced, and then L.E. Smith or Smith Glass Company bought it out. Anyways, that's enough talking about that. Again, I paid $7.99 for it, and I'm gonna hope to get about $25 for it. It's really pretty. It is an 8-inch bowl, excuse me, or 7-inch bowl. These are part of my personal collection also, which I haven't been using, so I think maybe it's time to sell them. They're great bowls. They're Federal in the Dura White line. They're milk glass. They were produced in the 1940s, and they actually came as a set of 4. I have the 2 bowls here. They came with a smaller bowl. I have the 7-inch bowl here and the 8-inch bowl here. But what I didn't really realize till I did a little more research was that my batter bowl right here, you can see it's in the same pattern, was part of that 4-piece set. And I'm not really ready to part with my batter bowl yet. I'm going to ask probably about $18 for these 2 bowls. Really nice condition. I picked up this bowl when I was browsing around at the Thrifty For You store, the store that I told you is kind of expensive. I paid $6 for it. It's Federal. I would probably date it to the late 60s, 70s. That's what it looks like to me. I can't for the life of me find a pattern name for it, but it's really cool. I've never seen it before. You can see here it has cups and plates and all sorts of kitchen utensils. I think on this side it has a tea kettle and a few more. It's in really, really nice condition. Even when I was checking out, the guy who checked me out said, wow, you never see that pattern anywhere. So I think it's a fairly rare pattern, even though I do see it out there. It probably just had a pattern number, as a lot of the Federal did. It's probably part of a nesting ball set. And actually, now that I look at it, the rim right here looks a lot like the Dura line that I'm selling also. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna ask for this bowl, but paid $6 for it. I'm gonna see if I can get 20 for it if they go for that much. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Most importantly, leave me a comment, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye. Like I said, I'm going to start